Come on.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
Good night, and welcome to Let's Talk About Sex. This is the first episode of the new series for this season. And tonight we have a very special show. We have some very important people with us that are going to be talking about not only what they're involved in, but their involvement in HIV prevention. But before we begin, I would like to introduce a special guest tonight, the Secretary of the HIV/AIDS Foundation, Ms. Adonica Malone. Welcome.
Thanks.
Okay. And if we could just move into introducing the panel. This panel is comprised of contestants for the Miss Teen British Virgin Islands pageant. It's a pageant that occurs every year, and we're going to hear a little bit more about that. But if we could just start here with the 2010 Queen, Savannah Charles, I'm sorry. Would you tell us a little bit about the history? But before we do that, I would like the other people to introduce themselves. So we can start here.
Good evening, people of the Virgin Islands. I am Danisha Madu Finley, 17-year-old student at the Honorable Lavity Stout Community College. I am your contestant number 2 in the 2011 Miss Teen British Virgin Islands pageant. Thank you.
Good evening, viewing public of the BVI. I am 16-year-old Ashela Kafoy, your contestant number 5, attending the H. Lavity Stout Community College. Thank you.
A pleasant good evening, everyone. I am 16-year-old Kimberly Herbert, contestant number 4, and I attend the H. Lavity Stout Community College.
Good evening, everyone. I am contestant number 1, Jemisha Nibbs, 17 years old, attending the BVI Technical and Vocational Institute.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am 17-year-old Shona Rogers, your contestant number 3, and I attend the Honorable Lavity Stout Community College.
Thank you, and welcome. Very pleased to have you with us tonight. Yeah. Ms. Charles, you are the Queen, the 2010 Queen, or Miss Teen BVI. Can you tell us a little bit about the organization, how it got started, when it got started?
Well, the show got started in 2002, so this year will be its 9th year. So far, they have had 6 queens and 2 elected queens. The show was started primarily based on the fact that they wanted to give young ladies in the BVI a chance to express themselves. It was a show that wanted to focus on intellectual growth, cultural appreciation, and just being confident in yourself.
Great. How do you go about selecting the young ladies that participate?
Well, mostly any girl in the BVI can be a part of this show. You must be between the ages of 14 and 18. You can't be married. You can't have children. The basic criteria to go in any show, for any teen show, I should say.
Right. I know last year the general platform for the contestants was HIV. And again, this year, I've been told that the general platform is HIV. Can you tell me how that platform was chosen?
I think the platform was chosen because HIV and AIDS is an issue that's growing here in the BVI, and we wanted to let the young ladies be aware of it, and also once they are aware of it, they can then go out into the community and spread the word to others.
Have you had the opportunity to do that this year?
Not quite.
Can you explain to me what you mean by not quite?
Well, also along with this platform, we've had our personal platforms, which was mine was child literacy. But we did take part in some events like the World AIDS Day.
Right.
We went to the auction at the governor's house. We helped fundraising and other things. We also have the scholarship dinner, which will be honoring you, and we'll hope to make that a venue around HIV/AIDS as well. We try to incorporate it with as much public events as we can to get the public out there, let them know that we are trying to be a part of this organization as well.
I'm really pleased that you outlined some of the activities that you've been involved in, because when you first said, first responded, I said, whoops. But you were involved, and the other contestants were involved also in several of the activities, especially the activities that the HIV/AIDS Foundation organized. This personal or individual platform that each of the contestants have, can you tell me a little bit about why there's a general platform and an individual platform?
Well, the general platform is basically to, once the girls are into the pageant and they're contestants, we want them to work not only with themselves, but get to know each other, work alongside each other. And so we think that making the HIV the main platform for the whole show, the girls can go out together as a team in the community and not just say, oh, I'm helping with HIV/AIDS. They could say, we, the contestants of this year's pageant, we want to contribute in such a way to this organization. And then the personal platforms is for when one of them win, then they'll go out into the public and pursue that platform as well.
Okay. Do you have a question?
No, I was just saying I think that's a good idea, good strategy.
Right, right. In terms of the individual platforms that each of you have, maybe we can start here, and you can share with us what your individual platform is, just briefly. Okay.
My individual platform is the prevention of child abuse. I chose that platform because I have a special love for children. I think that they should be treated with love and care. Child abuse is currently a growing epidemic in the BVI, which is not good. So I think that I should bring awareness to the public as to how child abuse affects one's lives and that it should stop.
That's very interesting that you've chosen child abuse, because I think we need to recognize that so many social issues are interwoven, and very often on this show we have talked about child abuse and sexual abuse, especially of children. So I think that's a really good platform to have, especially incorporating HIV.
Yes.
Good evening once again. I am 16-year-old Ashela Kafoy, your contestant number 5. My platform for this year's pageant is the adverse effects of teenage pregnancy. I chose this platform because I have witnessed many of my close friends and family been affected by this issue, and I don't feel there's enough awareness out there in the public. So I would like to bring more awareness as a contestant to the public, and try to minimize the percentage as much as possible.
Good.
Good evening again. My platform is youth empowerment, and I chose this platform because the youth of the BVI they need to be empowered to do positive things, and some youth out there, they are getting into some bad stuff. So they need some more reassurance from others, their peers and other people in the community, and I would like to bring across this.
Good.
My platform is peer pressure. The reason I chose peer pressure is because it is a matter that needs to be addressed at our schools and in our communities. Peer pressure is being forced against your will to do something you don't want to do. So, teens, please don't be pressured into doing wrong. Be pressured into be doing right. But don't let anyone force you to do something you don't want to do.
Good evening once again. My platform is teen pregnancy, and I chose this platform mainly because it is of personal interest to me. I have witnessed many of my close and personal friends go through the different problems that they have during and after they bring life into the world when they themselves are children, and they become hindered as to how to go about life after they have been affected by teen pregnancy. And I think that the BVI needs to bring more awareness to this issue so that we can drop the numbers of teens getting pregnant in the near future.
Thanks.
Great. I sort of jumped the gun before when I responded to your platform, but I notice as we're going through the other contestants' platforms that they're really very much connected.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too when I commented on the strategy, that you all have a general platform, but your personal ones are all related to teen sexual health and to sexually related diseases. So I think it's great. Yes.
When you think about influencing the community as contestants, or possibly one of you becoming 2011 Queen or Miss Teen BVI, how do you see that as impacting the community? I mean, you've had experience, so I'm going to ask you to hold off for a few minutes. I want the other contestants to talk about a little bit how they think that going through this process, being part of this pageant, how do you think this is benefiting the community, or how can you envision yourself influencing the community?
Want to go first?
Okay, well, if I was to be crowned Miss Teen British Virgin Islands, I would only use it as a beacon to bring light to my platform, which is child abuse. Not every time students or children want to listen to adults, they would like to hear from their peers. I think that I would be a good advocate to bring awareness to the public, the youths, especially teen mothers, have workshops, speak to them on how they should treat their children accordingly, other than abuse. There are other ways to punish children other than abusing them. So I would open and offer seminars to the parents of the BVI. Crowned or not crowned, I should say.
If I was to be crowned Miss Teen British Virgin Islands 2011, I would go about my platform as in seminars, gather teenage mothers or fathers, teenage parents, and let them speak to the younger children and show their real life experiences so that the experiences can sink in. And they will be like, okay, they went through all of this. I don't want to go through all of that, so I'll stray from teenage pregnancy and what's not. And then I would put in counseling, like get a professional counselor for children who would like to ask questions or talk about teenage pregnancy, or even if they are pregnant and they're going through certain issues, give them some word of advice and what's not, and just try my best to be a part and as much as possible listen, because not everybody's there to listen. People just want to enforce and not pay attention to the youth's real life struggles. Thank you.
Before we go on, I don't mean to cut the others off, but you're both talking about doing something very proactive in the community in terms of raising awareness or addressing specific issues. Do you feel that your classmates or your peers really want to hear you, that they really want to hear what you're saying?
Yes.
Well,
Go ahead.
well, maybe because when people choose to bring awareness, it's usually from an adult's point of view. So they would like to hear it from their own peers.
Okay, but how are you going to do that?
How are we gonna-
Realistically.
Well, you could just sit down and talk to them, choose to bring up this discussion.
But how are you going to set up a situation where you can talk with them?
Maybe one-on-one, or maybe somehow during a survey, you could do that. Or you could just go in and say high school, because I'm in college now, you just go in high school and ask the principal to speak to a certain class that you know of, and just bring up the topic and hear their points of view and give them advice on what to do and what not to do.
Okay. I don't mean to just keep focusing on the two of you. I want to hear the three people in the back as well. Do you understand what I'm asking? You have very constructive ideas, and you have plans of that it's important to reach out to your peers, to your classmates, but that's very challenging. And I'm wondering where you're going to get the support to do that. How are you going to organize it?
Well, if I'm crowned Miss Teen British Virgin Islands 2011, I plan to carry out my platform by using the show as a window of opportunity to get out there into the public and work with some adults, some youth leaders, and get into these youth groups and speak to them one-on-one, and just get out there and help assist and be with those adults that try to bring out this,
I'm not trying to discourage any of you. I'm just trying to get a sense of what type of support you have available and what type of support you might need from this community or from the HIV/AIDS Foundation.
Well, because my platform is dealing with child abuse, I do intend to partner with the social development of the Virgin Islands and work along with them, bring awareness to the people, help with the promotions and so forth.
You've already had experience. What has it been like for you to go out and to try to communicate? You've done several activities with the HIV Foundation. Have you found it easy to get the support or the encouragement from the community?
Well, yes, I do think the community supports the pageant on a whole, especially when you win. They want to see their queen do well, as in any pageant. They want to see them represent their country to the fullest. So I do think the community supports me when I go out, also family and friends and the committee.
Anyone else want to add to that?
Oh, they haven't said their platform.
I know they haven't. That's why I'm asking them. Yeah.
I would personally agree with what Danisha and Ashelika said about holding seminars and partnering with different groups and different clubs that young people are a part of. I would also take the time out to go to certain churches and visit their youth groups on Fridays or Saturdays and try to fit myself in so that we can have a constructive conversation about what they know and what they need to learn in order to keep the rate of teen pregnancy at not really a low level, but try to keep it from getting out of hand.
Okay. We're going to need to take a break, but before we take a break, I just want to remind the viewing and listening audience that this show is sponsored by JTV, Z-Rod FM, CCT Global Communications, and the HIV Foundation. We want to take this break, and when we come back, I would like us to refocus a little bit more on how and what it is that we can do, the HIV/AIDS Foundation can do to help you with your individual platforms, but especially the general platform addressing HIV in the community. So we'll take a break now. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Come on. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
The iPhone 4 is now available at CCT stores. Paired with the BVI's #1 unlimited calling plan, CCT Freedom and CCT Zero. Enjoy unlimited voice, text, and mobile web with CCT Freedom, the perfect plan to complement your iPhone 4. Share a smile, FaceTime style, or enjoy unlimited possibilities with access to thousands of apps. The iPhone 4, now available at CCT, bringing you the best selection on handsets and unlimited plans in the BVI. CCT, keeping you connected anytime, anywhere.
Come on. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
Welcome back to Let's Talk About Sex. And once again, I'd like to remind you that we have a very special panel tonight. The contestants for the Miss Teen British Virgin Islands. And also we have with us the Queen, the 2010 Queen of the Pageant. And our special guest tonight is Miss Adonica Malone, who's the Secretary for the HIV Foundation. What I would like to do, as I said before we took the break, is to try to get into a little bit more discussion about the general platform that the pageant has, and that's the HIV platform. What I would like us to try to think about and discuss is HIV in the community. Do you believe that it's a major problem in this community?
Well, from the information gathered, for a small, well, can't say small population, we're growing rapidly, but there's a lot of HIV cases going on, and I really think for a small island, we don't need to be having so much, but I guess that's life. But as much as possible, we should try to minimize it to the best ability we can.
When you say small population, I don't have any current statistics, but I've been told that we have an estimated population of approximately 30,000 people. Okay, and currently we have 28 people who are infected with HIV. You're correct. That is a very high percentage for that size population. So saying that indicates that it is a major problem here in the BVI. But I'm wondering if this is an issue that you and your classmates or your friends or your peers talk about.
Do you feel like it affects you personally?
We don't talk about AIDS on a regular basis.
I mean, speak about AIDS on a regular. It's not something that you bring up in normal conversation.
We speak
Microphone,
more,
please.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's not something that you bring up in normal conversation.
We speak more about the STDs and stuff. We don't speak. You can say you would mention AIDS now and again, but it's not something we really speak about.
And when you do mention it, when it comes up, what are you saying about
Well,
HIV and AIDS?
usually when you mention about AIDS, it's more or less like a joke, and people don't really take it serious. So, like, say somebody start to cough, and like they sick or something, be like, "You got AIDS."
Yeah.
You know?
You laugh at all.
Yeah.
I don't laugh, but I mean, you know, people, we really need to start taking it serious, because you know, you don't know if you might jinx that person in the near future or something. So yeah, I really think you shouldn't take it as a joking matter.
Do you feel that your peers are at risk? Do you think your age group are at risk of contracting HIV.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
If you say that so emphatically, definitely, then how come you're not talking about it? How come you're not discussing it?
I don't think it's a conversation you would like to entertain.
Yeah.
Most
Why not?
likely-
Why not?
Because most people, when you bring up the topic sex, most people shun from it.
That's where friends come in.
Yeah.
As a friend, when speaking with my friends, I would let them know if they're not currently active, they should abstain. If they're already active, they should condomize. I always preach it. If you're going to take part, condomize. It's that simple.
And you think they take you seriously? They respect your...
The real friends that I have, yes.
I'm just wondering. I'm sorry, you're going to say something?
At the end of the day, is everyone's choice on whether they want to protect themselves, but I make sure that I be a friend to all of my friends and let them know, as they would say, wrap it up.
Yeah,
Condomize.
Yeah,
yes.
try to give them information. But I'm interested. You said that, and remember, the three of you back there, you have that handheld mic. You have to use the mic. You mentioned that you talk about sexually transmitted infections, but you don't talk about HIV or AIDS. That's a sexually transmitted infection.
Yes, but it is a sexually transmitted disease. Yes, it is. But the other the STDs and things, they are more out there to catch than, I don't know. You can catch AIDS, yes, but the STDs, you must speak about them, and we don't really talk about the AIDS. Is just a conversation you really bring up like that. You'll say talk about the crabs and syphilis and gonorrhea and those.
I personally feel because AIDS is on such a high level of concern, they just stick to the basics, STDs like gonorrhea and syphilis, things that just more or less more common than HIV and AIDS. Because HIV and AIDS is basically a serious topic to talk about. So I feel they kind of keep it on the basics. So I guess that's why most people don't talk about HIV and AIDS.
I think another reason that we don't really bring it up is because we have this idea that Tortola is very small, and we never expect something so big like AIDS and HIV to be a part, like something that you would talk about. Like we would talk about the more common things that you could find and you see on TV and those stuff, but AIDS is not very common to us.
Is it because it's frightening, or that you don't have enough information?
It's intimidating.
It's like life-threatening mostly. I mean, the other diseases you can get rid of it, but when it is there, you can't do anything about it. So you never really bring it up because nobody wants my life can be threatened by AIDS. So they don't really like to talk about this AIDS situation.
That's really interesting. It would seem to me that perhaps we're not doing enough in terms of educating, because if it's so threatening that...
And you should speak about it.
That's right. So what do you think needs to be done? What more needs to be done in terms of increasing that dialogue?
Starting a conversation.
Well, I personally think that if all else fails, you need to just put it in their faces, make them, not aggressively, but you have to make them want to learn. You have to stimulate the youth and the older generation. You have to make them want to better themselves and protect themselves, because talking about STDs, it's a very intimidating conversation, and sometimes it can get very awkward very quickly, and sometimes people will just say whatever comes off the top of their head because they don't have enough information, because no one would really go and Google HIV or AIDS, and even if they do, they wouldn't let it be known, and they wouldn't just give out that information, because I think they feel that there are adequate places that you can go to get this information, but certain people wouldn't want to be seen in the HIV AIDS center, or wouldn't want to be seen with a pamphlet like that or getting a test like that, when it's really not that big of a deal. When they get sick or get TB, and they have to be at the doctor, then they would look back in hindsight and say that, oh, I should have done this and I should have done that. But when in fact they need to be, it needs to be put in their faces. Like, make them want to learn more and make them want to better themselves and protect themselves.
Okay, I'm interested in what you mean when you say put it in their faces. I mean, I've had experiences with people where they say we have to frighten people into paying attention. Is that what you mean?
Not necessarily frighten them, because me personally, if you start talking to me about HIV and AIDS and you try to scare me, it would highly freak me out, and I don't think I would shy away from it. Yes, I would shy away from it even more because of the gory details you're going into now. Imagine what I could learn on my own. It would be a very frightening ordeal to go through. So I think it doesn't need to be done that aggressively, but like, you could start off with something simple, like going office to office, door to door, school to school, something like that. Have the teachers do a little 5-minute, 10-minute, talk or exercise or pamphlet or whatnot, and get involved. Have the youth and the older generation be involved. Have back-to-back conversation. Make it a consistent thing, so that when they don't know something and they want to find something out, you could tell them that they should do this or they should do that, and then we will start seeing tremendous results in the BVI, and the HIV and AIDS statistics would either stay right where they are, or will, over the course of 20 years, it wouldn't increase that rapidly.
Well, the reality is that each year the HIV statistics increases. Even though we've had some people who have died, over the years, each year the statistics increase. So maybe we're not doing enough, like what you said, in terms of putting in people's faces. I agree with you. I don't think we should frighten anybody about anything, but we need to find some way to do it more effectively, because two of you have platforms related to teen pregnancy. Well, if somebody's getting pregnant, then they're not using safe sex practices, and they're certainly not being abstinent, okay? So, those folks are at risk, So what can we do to increase people's attention? Or you're going to say something?
Yes. I personally feel we should add sex education into the school's curriculums, even though most parents might, fuss and fight about teachers teaching their children about sex. But if a child can come to their mother or father and ask about sex, because, first thing might pop to their head, you having sex? Stuff like that. It might scare the kids. So I personally feel if the teachers could be able to teach.
If they say if you're having sex, chances are the person's going to say no.
Yeah,
Right.
basically. So I personally feel if they could add it into the school curriculum, then the child can go home and teach the mother or father, you know, mommy, I learned this today in school about AIDS and so on and so on, so forth. And then the mother can carry it to work and say, well, you know what, my daughter learned in school today and so forth. So, you know, even without you teaching people about, you know, okay, you're supposed to do this and this is what happens if you have AIDS and what's not, it could go across in a more friendly and familiar fashion. You know, more people might come closer to it. And so, yeah, I personally feel we should add.
A couple of you are at the college, but I was under the impression that this last school year, the Ministry of Education introduced family life education in the schools.
In a high school?
In the high school.
Or life skills?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I personally didn't get life skills. It's more like the lower forms. Yeah, and the seniors, they only speak about sex and what's not when you have like reproduction as a science topic. So you only learn that in science, and after that topic is gone, that's it. So
You can say so.
You keep, last year I noticed you asked a question, do you think there's enough information out there? And just now you're asking Shona, do you think there's enough information? I do think the community and the HIV foundations and other organizations try to put as much information out there, but I think when you look at the big picture, we all just need to go back to the basics. You know, I say the more simpler things get, the more complex you want to make it. The simple things like gaining back our morals and values, like you're asking her if we should put AIDS and frighten them in their faces. I mean, we put people on TV and glamorize them with gold teeth and women half dressed, and people accept that. And if that's what you're going to accept, women half naked and degrading women, and then you come and you posh that and you make it a fashion statement, and then all that sexuality around you. Of course, there's going to be sexual activity, and where there's sexual activity, especially with more than one partner or an infected person, then we expect to see an increase in all these STDs, including HIV and AIDS. So maybe if we get back to the basics, get back to morals and values, maybe that would help the situation, not just saying, is there enough information? I mean, you can Google almost anything, including HIV AIDS. There is information out there. We've been preaching it over and over and over. If people don't want to listen, maybe they should just go back to the basics. Because when life was much simpler, these STDs and HIV, they weren't around. People started getting wild and
funky.
You get my point.
Yes.
Yeah.
But how do we get back to the basics? You know, the theme of the show tonight is teenage sexual health promotion. How do we do that? How do we promote, you know, sexual health? How do we promote, as you said, the basics?
I personally feel it starts at home with the parent. Everything starts at home. But if the parents themselves don't, you know, ignorance, you know, they just don't want to know about it, then therefore the children, our generation coming up, would not know unless we go and look for the information ourselves. So I personally feel everything starts at home. So if you instill it in the parents will instill it in their children, and so forth and so forth. So if you could reach the adults first, maybe go office to office, one-on-one, door-to-door, maybe a census. Well, not a census, but
not only
a survey, something.
Not only you have to instill it, you can instill as much as you want in someone. I can know as much as I want, but the thing is, am I going to practice what I know? That's the big problem. You have to practice what you preach. You can't be my father and tell me don't smoke and drink, and every night I see you smoking and you come home drunk. I'm going to be like, what? Really? You telling me don't do it, but you can do it?
Yeah.
I'm then going to want to challenge that. I'm going to want to know, so why can't he do it and why can't I? Right. You can't be my mother and then have a young girl and tell her don't have boyfriends or don't be up and down with this man when she has all these children by all these different men. it's just not going to work.
I'm really pleased that you brought that up because for the past few years we had national summits for youth on HIV, and very often that's a theme that comes out from the participants, where they will say, well, you know, I've learned this, but my mother, my father, my brother, my cousin, whatever, you know, doesn't, you know, abstain, or has multiple partners, or has children from other men or from other women. And it's so when you say getting back to basics, it's not only trying to get, you know, teenagers or younger people back to basics, but it's really a matter of changing a whole bunch of issues in the community that goes across the board, right? Yeah. So how do we do that? I mean, we're talking about you guys being advocates, trying to reach your peers and give them some information that's going to be helpful and healthy for them. But we got a whole bunch of older folks.
Yeah, that's the tough part right there.
I truly feel that the information is there. People have to take it upon themselves to practice what they're given. The information is there. You said it all. Stuff, the consequences of having unprotected sex and so forth. We often stress abstinence, but yet teenage pregnancy is increasing. We stress condomizing, but yet teenage pregnancy is increasing. I think that we should now try to have a drive for getting your partner tested. Many people are afraid of getting tested, but I want to be sure that my partner is clean as I am. So I think that we should push getting tested, because as I learned in school, AIDS can not only be transmitted from sexual intercourse, but also kissing. If there's a cut in your partner's mouth, you will never know. You could have sex with condoms, yes. What if you kiss him? He might not be your partner, yes, which is wrong, but you should try and, you know, bring it across to people. Get tested. You want to be sure that your partner is clean. Protect yourself. It's more than just condomizing.
Just hold on to that. Okay, we'll come back to that. You wanted to say something back there.
Yes, I was going to say that another way is to try to have a different approach, like to give it a fun side. Like if we have a drive and a little set up something that the community can come out and enjoy themselves while getting tested and be given information about HIV, and also to get the youth involved, like to get even those who are not sexually active, but to still allow them to get tested, because that's not the only way you can get HIV, because you never know if maybe your mother had it or you're not sure. But the thing is to have a different approach, to not think of it as something scary, to just get it out there and have a good, nice setting, maybe with some food, some music, and get the community to come out and just enjoy themselves while being informed about HIV and AIDS.
I remember that we actually had an event like that. I think it was the award show with the young singing groups, and the team was HIV/AIDS, and they had to sing a song about. That was what I remember. I have every song from every group. It was just fantastic.
Yes, I wanted to add on that. When she mentioned music, I remember that same occasion. So if all these groups, CB for Life, 5-Star Ballers, Higher Level, or Reggae, everyone made 8 songs, then why not play them on the radio instead? We must be hearing Beyonce, Akon. They have no idea who we are. They don't care about, well, I feel that they don't really care about how our life would turn out to be. Instead, we could play the songs day by day on the radios, because children tend to catch on from songs really quickly. They'll remember everything, and some of those songs are quite educating. I think that they should be playing over and over on the radios, and get it instilled in the young people of
the
BVI.
HIV Foundation sponsored those Artists Against AIDS concerts, okay? And we do have a CD available with all of the songs on the CD. So I should have brought some tonight, but I'll make sure you get copies of those. They have been distributed to the radio stations, and occasionally you will hear one of the songs, but they don't play them enough.
Occasionally.
Exactly.
But I personally, if you promote the youths, you know, then they would have a good feeling. Like her platform is youth empowerment. If you empower us, because you know I'm a youth, then we would feel better about ourselves, and then we would keep on the right path and not divert and go on the wrong path and do something we're not supposed to do. Like, say for instance, the crime rate is rapidly increasing. That's because most teens, they just don't have nothing to do. They don't have no one to guide them on the right path. So I feel if we could add, you know, things like HIV/AIDS, teenage pregnancy, issues that are really troubling the community, and put it in a fun way so the youth can be a part of it, I really think we could, you know, turn the whole thing around.
And that was another thing in terms of empowering the youth. That was the whole concept behind the Artists Against AIDS concerts, to empower the youth to, you know, communicate with their peers about HIV prevention. And we didn't only do musical pieces. There was poetry, there was drama, dances, and so that we are planning to do that again this year. But we need participation from the youth, you know, and so, you know, that's something that you can build on by reaching out to the youth. But we're going to need to take a break, but before we break, I just want to go back to what you presented about testing, because testing is very important, but we need to understand testing and how it needs to be done and what it really means, okay? So we'll talk about that when we come back. I'm not sure if you're going to be with us the rest of the evening. Sylvana, can you stay with us?
Sure.
Okay, all right. So you're welcome to stay. I wasn't quite sure whether you were going to stay with us. Before we take the break, I would like to remind the audience that this show is sponsored by CCT Global Communications and also JTV, Z-Rod FM, and the HIV/AIDS Foundation. So we'll take a break and we'll be back shortly.
Come on. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
We at the HIV/AIDS Foundation dream of a world in which people living with HIV are treated with respect, dignity, and justice. A world in which people are diagnosed early and are not afraid to access care. A world in which people are educated about HIV and have the power to protect themselves from infection. At the HIV/AIDS Foundation, we're working to make that dream a reality. Come join us. Together, we can make things better. For more information, call us at 442-0212.
Come on. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
Welcome back to Let's Talk About Sex. We have a very enthusiastic group here tonight with us. It's the contestants from the Miss Teen British Virgin Island pageant. And we were just talking about HIV testing and how perhaps that could be used as a tool to educate people and also to minimize the transmission of HIV. So, you want to say something about that?
The testing.
The testing, yeah.
I was not right now.
Okay, all right. You know, we need to be realistic in order to determine how many people are infected with HIV. We need to encourage them to come forward to be tested, not just to know how many people are infected, but also to initiate treatment for them if they are infected, okay? But the whole testing process is an educational process, because what you do is you give the person information about sexual health, you also give them information about the testing process. But some people are under the impression if they get tested today for HIV, that means that they're home free. In reality, that's not true, because someone could be tested today and they could get a test that indicates that they're not infected with HIV, but they could go out tonight and get infected. So the test results is only good for that day. In addition to that, if someone is tested and they had a sexual encounter, like say 2 or 3 weeks ago, with someone that was infected, they could be infected, but the test will not show that they are infected because of what we call the window period. Mm-hmm. You know, there's like a 90-day window period. So we need to be very careful when we talk about testing and look at testing as, you know, it settles it, okay? It doesn't settle it. If someone is sexually active, they need to recognize that they need to be tested on a regular basis, okay?
So isn't there a 20 minutes, a 20-minute testing?
Yes, we do 20-minute testing, okay, which is great because years ago the test results would take maybe 2 weeks or longer to come back from the laboratory. So they had to analyze it. The tests we use today are very sensitive tests. They're very good in terms of the analysis, and the test results come back in 20 minutes. But again, you need to understand the testing concept behind it. Okay.
Dr. McInerney, I respect what you're saying about the testing not being, you know, you're not home free when you're tested once. But I do think that it needs to come up in conversation, in interaction, especially when you have partners, you know. Let's get tested. Let's do this together. Let's, you know, break down this barrier and let's be sure that what we're doing is, you know, a safe act. And I do think that it is important that persons realize that it is a tool in prevention, in safe health practices. And I do think that persons should talk about it and know that, you know, we're not safe because one test says we're you know, we're not positive,
right.
But it should be a continued conversation. So I think it's one of the tools that should be used in the prevention of the spread of HIV.
I want to pick up on that, and I want to get the panel to respond. But I would like to also ask the viewing and listening audience to call us if they have questions or they have a comment. The number is 446-1949 for telephone call-ins. And if you want to send us a text message, the number is 442-5277. So call us on 446-1949 or text us on 442-5277.
Okay, just got a couple texts. I'll read the first one. The person said, if you were to be crowned Miss Teen BVI, given the situation of our youths being so sexually active, how would you encourage the government to resolve the problem? I'll read it again. If you were to be crowned Miss Teen BVI, given the situation of our youths being so sexually active, how would you encourage the government to resolve the problem?
Okay, the government. Like I said before, they should initiate sex education into the school's curriculum. That would be one point of reaching the youths, because you know they go to school every day. It should be like a permanent subject instead of just not a topic that just breezes across. So that would be one good way for the government to help
in the curriculum.
Yeah.
I agree, and also like I said, the drives about getting tested, and of course abstinence and condomizing and being faithful to our partners.
I know the question was geared towards if one of them were to win, but I also see it. I read a news a couple weeks ago online, and they were having the debate as whether a young girl in school got pregnant, whether she should be allowed to continue her studies, whether she should have to drop out, whether the father of her child should have to drop out as well. I don't think that just because you made one mistake in life, you should be cut off just like that. I do think they should be given another chance to continue their education if they have not at least finished secondary level. But I don't think that if there are no consequences, you just say, okay, she got pregnant. She comes to school, everyone sees her pregnant. The younger children in the school might think, okay, she's in 5th form, she's getting ready to come out, but she got pregnant. Maybe when I reach in 5th form, I could do what I want. That kind of way. I think the government should have stricter rules when it comes to, especially girls in school, when it comes to that. Because they just can't let them go around and think it's a walk in the park. Then all the other younger girls might look at them and say, okay, she did it, why can't I?
What about the younger guys? What do you think they see when the younger girls are pregnant?
That goes for the same thing as the younger guys. When they maybe form 1, form 2, when they reach form 5, they might be like, I remember this girl got pregnant and she came to school. So if I have sex with my girlfriend now and she gets pregnant, we'll both be able to come to school. So they might not realize the consequences that they're going to be challenged with after they've done what they've done.
Yes, there should be consequences. I still disagree that the girl should be kicked out of school. For yes, teenage pregnancy is considered to be wrong, but so is aborting a child. By saying that they should be kicked out of school, that's promoting abortion, because obviously children are having sex unprotected. So then there's lots of children being aborted.
Now, don't get me wrong. I never said that they should be kicked out of school. I don't think they should have to stop their education. Everyone needs an education to make it through life. I'm just saying that we have to watch what we glorify, because what young children see happening, that's what they're most likely to do. I'm not saying the girl or the boy should ever be kicked out of school. I just think that they should know the caution about having sex and getting pregnant, and if they choose to still have sex and the girl has gotten pregnant, I think that they should be removed from the environment, put in another environment, and let that situation be dealt with there. I don't think that young children should be able to see them going along with this like it's nothing, because then they might think themselves, oh, it's nothing, and that's not the case.
And again, another way the government can help, seminars, bring in real life experiences, not just information about what to do and what you should not do. Real life experiences. So like an actual teenage mother or father comes in and be like, okay, well, I got my child when I was 5th form. I lost certain education privileges, lack of social abilities. You know, everyone likes to socialize, but once you got pregnant, you have a responsibility. So therefore, you know, half of their teenage years have been taken away. So if you put that in the young people's mind, they maybe, or most likely, they would shun from that and be like, I don't want to be like this here. I want to live my life. I don't want to have to pay bills at the age of 18. That's still mommy's job. And stuff like that. I personally feel if you bring in real life experiences, then somehow or somewhere in their mind, their conscience will be telling them, you know, this is wrong, I shouldn't do it. Simple.
Well, I don't believe there's anything that the education department has in place that says that the young lady cannot stay in school.
There is no implementation as yet.
That's right. But I think what happens often is that there's an awkwardness or an embarrassment that occurs. And so very often either the young lady or the family of the young lady removes her from the school. But you're right in terms of the educational opportunity. She should not be deprived of that educational opportunity. So there does need to be some sort of planning.
Backup plan.
Yeah, for that. Especially today when we know that teenage pregnancy is increasing, and there are more girls in the high school becoming pregnant. You know, but you're on the other side of it. We do need to establish programs to educate. You know, abstinence. You know, or safe sex practices. There has to be something else in place.
When you put in these increments about when you say teenage pregnant, when you get pregnant in school and then you can go to this other school, it advises teenagers to go out there and get pregnant. I'm not saying getting kicked out of school is right because you made a little mistake, but that also giving me I get pregnant so I could go to that school where the mothers to go, so that like giving me I could do that. So I don't care now. I could have unprotected sex and do as I please because they have something for me to do when I get pregnant.
Well, it doesn't necessarily need to be another school, but there should be some planning to enable the young lady to complete her education somehow, you know, homeschooling or something. Because, you know, sometimes people get pregnant not because they, you know, deliberately planned it, but because it accidentally happened. But Danica was asking about the young men, you know.
When you had mentioned that the young ladies, you don't think that they should be deprived of an education. You were also saying that they should go to another, you know, place to continue the education. You were speaking about the pregnant young ladies, or were you speaking about the pregnant young lady and her partner?
Well, I was mostly referring to the young lady. If and when government decides to put in an implementation of the rule, it will be upon them whether they want to try the boy as well, the male. But we find that most of the times the girls in high school that are getting pregnant, they're not getting pregnant for boys in high school. So we don't really weigh it as much as, should the boy get in trouble? Because most of the time the boy has already graduated, he's a elder, he's not under government rule when it comes to education. So we can't pin the boys. So it's mostly the girls that you're seeing with the problem as towards whether or not you should let them finish their education, whether or not you should let them finish the education in a different environment so they don't, as I say, glorify it and make it seem like it's an okay thing to get pregnant and then just come back to school and finish.
So this would be more of a learning opportunity, not just a learning opportunity, but a warning for girls, because they, in the end, they're usually the ones who are more visible and who are going to bear the stigmas and everything of teen pregnancy.
But I personally think teenage pregnancy not only happens in school, because you're a teenager up until the age of 19. You're a teen. So even if you don't graduate and decided, you know, to get, well, you know, I done out of school, so I'm an adult, I can do what I please. But you have to look, that's where child abuse comes into play. Because then when you become a teenage mother, even though you're out of school, you still lack social time because, you know, I have to stay home and watch this child. I finally reach the age of 18. I can't go clubbing because I have to a baby to watch. You have financial problems. And because if you lack educational, you lack an educational background, you can't find a proper job, and therefore you can't take care of this child, and therefore the child will come up in that same, well, most likely will, because it hasn't have a proper training or a proper home, it comes up in the same footsteps as its mother or parents. You know, I don't think it only happens, we shouldn't look at it as a school, just in school, but environment-wise, because you are teen up until the age of 19. So, yeah.
What you're bringing up is really very interesting because it even goes beyond, teenage years, because we live in a society, we live in a world today where more people are having children out of a permanent relationship or out of a marriage, okay? And so it's a whole change in the way the society is structured, in terms of the sense of responsibility and also the dynamics of family, what makes a family. So there, again, it goes back to
Morals
yes,
and values.
yes, yes, yes. Where are we going with all this? What's happening? There are statistics that indicate that those folks that get married, more than 50% of them get divorced. So it's like there's some sort of breakdown in the ability to form a meaningful relationship. We're going to need to take a break again, but before we take a break, I wanted to get back to the testing concept. We're talking about testing. If you're going to become involved sexually with someone, that you should get tested, and your partner should get tested before you have any sexual contact, because you don't know with whom that person was with before you. And that's an important thing. But again, you need to understand the testing concept. You have to be abstinent for a certain period of time before you have the test to make sure that it's valid. And so, years ago, there was a law that people couldn't get married unless they were tested for syphilis.
We should enforce that.
And that law was abolished a long time ago, but you couldn't get married unless you got tested for syphilis. And there are some places that are now advocating for HIV testing before you get married. But we know that people have sex before they get married. So you need to get across that message that if you're going to become sexually active with someone, you need to know that person's status, and you need to know your own status. So let's come back and discuss that, when we return from the break. And again, I would invite the viewing and listening audience to call us on 446-1949 or text us on 442-5277. And we'll take a break and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Come on.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
The iPhone 4 is now available at CCT stores. Paired with the BVI's #1 unlimited calling plan, CCT Freedom and CCT Zero. Enjoy unlimited voice, text, and mobile web with CCT Freedom, the perfect plan to complement your iPhone 4. Share a smile, FaceTime style, or enjoy unlimited possibilities with access to thousands of apps. The iPhone 4, now available at CCT, bringing you the best selection on handsets and unlimited plans in the BVI. CCT, keeping you connected anytime, anywhere.
Come on.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex.
Welcome back to Let's Talk About Sex. We have a very enthusiastic group here tonight with us. It's the contestants from the Miss Teen British Virgin Island pageant. We'd welcome your call on 446-1949, or you can text us on 442-5277. As a matter of fact, we have a couple of texts.
Okay. One of the last ones that came in asked, if you were to be crowned Miss Teen BVI and you were given up the chance to go into school, what would you say to the children? If you were crowned Miss Teen BVI and you were given the opportunity to go into the school, what would you say to the children?
I'll say to the children, my peers, my peers, that if you are sexually active, condomize, use all the protections possible, and if you're not, save yourself until marriage, boys and girls. So abstain until marriage and condomize and use all possible protections.
If they're not active, abstain, and if they are, use as much protection as possible.
Good. Okay.
Any other comments?
Basically, we would say more or less the same thing.
I got another good question. This person is asking, if you found out that your best friend got infected by HIV through unprotected sex, how would you deal with that situation and move forward?
Well, I'll be a friend. They expect your support. Yes, you might have spoke to them and tell them about the consequences of unprotected sex, but it was already done. Do not make sense making a fuss over spoiled milk. Just be there for them, support them, let them know that it's not the end of the world, and just be a friend.
I personally, because if my best friend ever happened that, I would first smack her on the butt. Because that's just wrong. We spoke about it, we talk about it, sister conversation. But then again, she would have my full support. I would be there when she needs testing. I would tell her, make sure I get her meds and stuff. And I would be there for her as a sister or older sister or father or mother would. She has my full support. Anything she needs, she can come to me. But in the future, for your kids, for your other friends, you could talk to them about it and show them that this was wrong. I did it, I went about it the wrong way and was not. So to prevent it as much as possible.
The important thing is support. We need to be supportive because people living with HIV feel very discriminated against. They feel very alone. And so, they need to know that they're loved, that they're cared about, and there are people that they can turn to. That's very good. What I would like to do now is to share with you some discussions I've had with your committee and also with the contestants from last year. Do you remember we talked about establishing a junior membership at the foundation? Yeah. Okay. That's an option, and all of you would be welcome to become junior members of the HIV Foundation. You would be able to participate in activities and help us design programs and services for teenagers. I'm hopeful that all of you will join with us and participate in that junior membership. Do you think that's something that you would be interested in doing? You think it's something that's valuable to the community?
Definitely. Yes. Definitely.
Okay. We're going to be ending shortly, but before we end, I would like us to hear more about your pageant. What are the upcoming events? What happens next for all of you? So, who can lead that?
Okay.
So, Vanna, I think you've been nominated.
Okay. We have the scholarship dinner, which is on Saturday, September 17th at Maria's by the Sea. The tickets are $75, and there will be a wine tasting from 6 to 7. The public will be able to mingle with the contestants, get to know them, get to know what the future Miss Teen BVI might be like. And then there's a dinner following immediately, and we'll be honoring Dr. Ronald McInerney at the dinner. So we do ask the support from the community to come out and just have fun with us.
So it's a dinner.
It's a dinner,
It's
wine tasting,
wine tasting,
mingling session,
mingling session.
and the honoring of you.
Well, thank you for that.
Oh,
I thought there was also music. Is there music going to be there?
Music brings everything alive, so I guess.
Okay, all right, right. So it should be a fun night, a relaxing night for people to support your scholarship fund, and also to get to know each of you and support you.
And on top of the activities, there is our interview night, where we have the most nerve-wracking segment to me in the pageant. Where
You mean this wasn't nerve-wracking?
No, this is
Light
not.
work.
This is
Okay,
normal.
okay,
This is normal.
okay. That's good to know. That's good to know.
So this is where we will be judged on our personal lives and how well you can articulate, how intellectual you are, and just talking about yourself. But between that, it has.
Can I just stop you for a moment?
Sure.
What's the date for that, and where is that going to be?
The 23rd, the following Friday. I think it will be held at Long Bay
Okay.
Hotel.
Is that open to the public, or is that?
Yes, because
Okay.
it will have a fashion show, and where we could just mingle with each other and get to know each other more. So it could be a bit calming for us before we go into the the judging area.
I'd like to interject there. The personal interview would be private,
Yeah.
but there's a modeling act after that would be open to the public.
So we asking the community to come and support, because like she said, it will be their first judging points. It can be a bit intimidating going into the interview, so we just want the public to come out and support them. There'll be a little bit of entertainment, music. Just come out, support, help them calm their nerves. It is a segment that carries a lot of points, so we just want them to feel as comfortable as possible going in, make them feel confident and assured of themselves.
Good. So, what else? What happens next?
And then there's the night of the show, October 1st.
You could look for stuff like the motorcade
Oh yeah.
right before the show.
Okay. Is that the same day of the show?
The
Okay.
day before, is it the day before?
Day
which will be
before.
the 30th.
And if any changes may arise, you just see the beep beep in town with the pretty girls waving. You know it's there. Yeah.
And what's the date of the show, and where is that going to be?
That's October 1st at the Eileen L. Parsons Auditorium
Okay.
at 8 p.m. sharp.
Good. All right. So we have a fundraising dinner. We have
Fashion show.
the fashion show
Slash interview.
and your interviews, your personal interviews. Then we have a motorcade, and then we have
The night of the
Big
show.
night.
the big night. Great.
Yep.
It was a great show last year. I was very impressed. Did you go?
Yes, I went. I went.
It was really very
was
well
nice.
done. I was really very impressed. Yeah. You want to add something?
And yes, we are also going on Teen Talk on Saturday.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. So you guys are all going to be very, very busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Busy, busy, busy.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to add, or about the next? Well, it's not that long, is it?
No.
I mean, it's really whizzing by now. So the next couple of weeks you're going to be very, very busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have another text?
I got a request to ask the girls to say a special thank you to anyone helping to make their participation in the show possible.
I don't mind going first. Okay. On behalf of my side, I would like to thank my chaperone, Miss Serene Descent, my parents, Louisa and Ashiel Foy. Then I would like to thank my sponsor, Eclipse Hair Salon, for making me look so pretty. I would like to thank God for giving me the strength and ability to do what I'm doing right now. And everyone who's out there supporting me, my best friends, my classmates and whatnot, I would just like to thank everyone for what they have done thus far.
I'd like to thank God first, and then also I'd like to thank my brother, Joel Dorr. I'd like to thank his office, Conservation and Fisheries, and I'd like to thank my home circle for supporting me.
Anyone else?
I would like to thank my family and friends for getting me thus far and being my support system. I would also like to thank my chaperone, Romalda Maloney, and Hazim's beauty salon, Hazim Beauty Store, sorry, and Eclipse Hair Salon. Also my sister and Tamisha Georges.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank God for giving me the ability to be here tonight, entering the pageant. I would like to thank my mom for allowing me to be a part of the pageant, my chaperones, my home circle, and everyone that has my back.
Okay.
I would just like to thank God, of course, for making me be alive today. I'd like to thank my sponsors, my family. I'd like to thank my sister, my chaperone, Amanda Emmanuel. And I'd like to thank my mother for all the support she's given me. And my friends who will surely be at the show on the night supporting me. Thanks.
I say thank yous.
No, you don't get to say thank you.
Thank yous too.
No.
Thank what?
Thank yous too.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
She wanted to know if she could say thank you.
Oh, yes, you can. You can. You can.
No, it's not.
Well, although I've already been given the chance to be Miss Team BVI, there are still a lot of people I like to thank. My friends and family who have supported me. I really do enjoy doing pageants, and all those who have supported me through the years. I would like to give a special thanks to Rupert and the Miss Team BVI committee for giving me the opportunity to express myself publicly. I'd also like to thank Miss Bernicia Foy. Hi, Miss B. She's been with me since Prince and Princess, and she's been very instrumental. I'd like to thank my god sister Tammy David, my mother, my private sponsors, public sponsors, and also the community. They've given me the chance to represent them, and I do hope that the next Miss Team BVI would have an enjoyable reign and would have as much fun as I did.
Good. We're just going to shift gears quickly. I think all of you thanked everyone that was important, and that was great. But we do have one more question that I think would be very important for us to, touch on before we end.
Okay, one person wrote in. They said that they hear saying that you test your partner before having sex with them, but will you get tested every time you have sex? As nowadays, no one is faithful.
Oh, I'm so happy you brought that back up. Because we young people of today, our peers, they look at it as, I'm still young, why should I be in a faithful relationship? No one really have a committed relationship nowadays, so,
I interject. You can't say no one.
Yes, you can.
There are some people out there in faithful relationships.
I stand corrected. So, yeah, not everyone takes it seriously, take relationships seriously. So, say, well, I don't want to, so a girl has this young man that she likes, but then there's this other one on the corner over here, and then there's that one back there. How can you look at it as a relationship if she likes this one, this one, and that one over there? No one, as young people, they'd be like, I'm young, why I have to be in any relationship? I don't have to be faithful. Ain't like we married. That's what, when we speak to our peers about it.
What you're saying basically is that it's more common for people to not be in committed relationships, that they go from one relationship to another. And that's true. It's true of young people. It's also true of the older folks as well. And it goes back to what we were talking about before in terms of morals and values.
I was going to say, I wasn't going to give them advice, but more words of wisdom. If you have to ask yourself, to get tested every time you want to get a new partner, you should ask yourself, what are you really doing? That just doesn't seem right to have that many partners, especially at such a young age. And if you do decide to have sex, you should have one partner. You should know his or her status before you decide to have sex with them. You shouldn't be going around changing partners every other day and then having to get tested every other day.
Well, I think that may be part of the question, but I also think the person was trying to ask, if you're in a relationship with someone, should you have be having a test before you have sex with that person again? Because you can't trust your partner.
Well, with trust, without trust, it's not a relationship. I personally feel that way. If you can't trust him or her, then you should not be together.
It's not a healthy relationship.
It's not. Without trust, there's nothing.
That's very good advice, but we know that sometimes people make choices and they stay in relationships in which they know that their partner is not being faithful, but they stay in the relationship anyway. So what would you say to someone like that?
Then that's their risk. I would say I have no other advice but to keep it moving. Run for your lives. That's not healthy.
The person really needs some professional intervention in terms of them trying to evaluate what they're doing and what they're hoping to achieve, right? Because they're putting themselves at risk by staying in that type of relationship on more levels than one, not just sexually transmitted infections, but, you know, what kind of relationship are you in? If you cannot trust the person, or you know the person is not being faithful to you.
I understand it, but say for instance, right, the individual meets someone who she thought was a decent young man, and then found out that, you know, he turns out to be a player, you know, someone who has multiple partners, and then turns to say, you know.
Okay, I just have to interrupt you. We have a caller on the line. Okay. Hold your thought. Okay, we'll come back to it.
I'm gonna try.
Good night. Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
Good night.
Good night. This is Let's Talk About Sex.
Okay, I would like to know, was it there 6 young ladies?
Would you turn your TV down, please?
She asked if there wasn't six young ladies.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, there were 6 young ladies that were originally contestants, but for some reason, the 6th young lady withdrew from the contest. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for calling. Okay, we're going to have to answer. We're going to have to end. But before we end, there's a very good question, and this is the last question. Okay.
Is this one actually?
No, there was one before that.
The discharge?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this person is asking, if you have unprotected sex with someone with AIDS and they did not discharge in you, can you still get AIDS?
What do you think?
Yes,
Anna?
you can.
Who said you can?
Me. Because there's vaginal secretion, there's, what's the other thing the men get?
Pre-cum.
That. So, you know, I mean, not only can it be carried by semen, but, you know, the lubricates that happen, it can still travel. So, yes, you can get AIDS.
Everyone agree with that? Yes. That's something that a lot of people don't recognize. They think that unless there's an actual an ejaculation on the part of the man, that there's no possibility that there can be any transmission of disease. But there are many diseases that the man doesn't need to ejaculate, but it can still be transmitted, and HIV is one of them. So, oh gosh, we have one more call. Okay. Good night. Let's talk about sex.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Good night. I would like to bring up my little sister, Danisha Madu Finley. Coming from near 2 big sisters. Auntie.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for calling. Okay. Okay. Do we have another? We have another one online. Oh, no. Okay. Okay. I think we need to wrap up. We need to end the show. It's been a really good show. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. You've all reacted very spontaneously. You've given a lot of personal input into the topics that we've talked about, and you know, it shows that you have a real good perspective on HIV and also your own individual platforms, which, as I said earlier, it's all related because we're really talking about people at risk. So I want to thank you for being here tonight. Is there something you want to add?
I just want to echo your sentiments. It was a pleasure sitting with you and hearing your thoughts and opinions on these very important matters that matter not just to the youth, which is critically important, but to the community on a whole. Thank you for your candidness and your honesty and everything. And I wish you all the best in your events leading up to the big show. And even though only one person would wear the crown, you're all beautiful, talented, and intellectual young ladies. And I wish you all the best in life.
Thank
you.
You're welcome.
And we will be there at every event to support you, okay? Can you just review the events before we end? I know that you just want to mention to the audience again so that they remember.
Okay, we have the scholarship dinner Saturday, September 17th at Maria's by the Sea. There will be the personal interview the following week, the 23rd at Long Bay. There will be the show on October 1st at the Eileen L. Parsons Auditorium, and we would like to invite you all to come out and see this spectacular event.
You forget the
These young ladies are a very special group of young ladies. They're offering themselves to the community to give education and support, to deal with very sensitive issues that we're all struggling with here in the BVI. So I think it is important that we try to support them and applaud them for their efforts. Once again, I want to thank you. I want to thank your organizers, your committee, and hopefully we'll have you back again. Okay. Thank you very much, and good night. Thank you for listening and watching us. And our next show will be Wednesday, September 21st. We hope that you'll join us then for our next episode of Let's Talk About Sex.
Come on.
Let's talk about sex, baby.